It is time for September reading wrap-up and I am so excited because this was my best reading month yet. Not in terms of how many books I have read, but based on my enjoyment of the reads. And that is even more important. Hey guys, this is RyeMi and let's talk about 8 books I finished in September. But first, I need to make the monthly cover page. I started with the calendar outlines because it is roughly in the middle of the spread and I wanted to better see how much space there was left for the decorations. And the decorations for this month are adorable. The Autumn Witch sticker sheet by Marigona Sully was an automatic buy. I saw it and it was in my cart that second. I love this desaturated red color of the witch's sweater and it looks so good with orange pumpkins and dark browns of the cat and the rest of her outfit. And yes, the cat was also a big selling point. I put this muted orange colored piece of circle paper as a background for the girl piece of a book page, and then I decided to add this coffee stain in there as well. Oh, and I accidentally ripped the broom off. Oops. I prepared September header in 2 colors, one in orange and one in this dark brown. I have to admit I did not do the best job on the dark one because it was a bit too dark and maybe too red in the undertones, so I went with the orange title and I am glad I did. The whole page got this very cozy feeling thanks to the orange title. If I have used the darker one, I feel like the page would look maybe a bit more dramatic, which is also nice, but I think the orange was a good choice. Before I put the rest of the stickers from the sticker sheet onto the page, I added a few of these colored blobs. They are part of the Womanhood sticker book from Izobova, and to be honest guys, I never know how to use these. They are perfect for more cutesy, colorful and playful style of journaling or decorating, and that is not something I intentionally gravitate towards, but for this spread, these blobs were perfect and they made the whole theme look so fun. I was not sure about the section of the page about the calendar. I did some planning before setting up my pages, but this section was a bit tricky to figure out. Thankfully, I found these bookshelf stickers. I bought them last year, I think, and while they are adorable, I just did not know how or where to use them. Thankfully, that bookshelf sticker fit so nicely in the space above the calendar and it looks gorgeous. Even though the purple color on this sticker does not really fit into the vibe, but that will change when I add book covers in, hopefully. As I said, I finished 8 books in September, but I read 9, one I was not able to finish by the end of the month. And it is time to fit all of these book covers in the space right next to the calendar. This time I finally remembered to leave a white border for each book cover. I kept telling myself to do that for the last couple of months and I have always forgotten. I am so glad I did this because covers look much better on the page now and they are not getting lost in the decoration. There is not much decoration this time, I know, much less than in my previous setups, but still, the white border helps a lot and it ties the book covers to the theme nicely because all of these stickers have a border as well. If I did think this through more, I would have made the frame around each book a light cream color, the same one as all the stickers are, but that's just me being nitpicky. I am jumping around this spread so much, guys. Adding the numbers to the calendar now, and I found the perfect color match with the witch's sweater. How awesome is that? There are 31 number stickers, as they should be, but because September has only 30 days, I put the number 31 on the cover page. I started to do that recently because what would I do with a random number 31? And now, this is my favorite part, putting all the rest of the stickers from the sticker sheet on the spread. Big stickers first, just so I know they will all fit, and then I put all the smaller stickers around to fill in blank spaces. and there were so many extra small stickers on this sticker sheet. All those dots and stars and mini leaves. This was so fun. My plan was to put these brown corner stickers in the corners of the spread, of course, but there was no space left for that, so I put 2 of those around the calendar, and it added a little bit of whimsy to the spread. The last thing this spread needs is to fill in the calendar. In here I mark days I read each book, and I color in only days I actually read that book. That's why you'll see me not always doing a full line for a certain book, but jump over some days. And I always write a book title on each line. It's not really necessary. I have seen people not doing that, but I simply like how it looks. For the lines, I'm using Ohuhu water-based markers in 4 different colors. I used to have a different color for each book, but the calendar then usually turned out to be way too colorful and it took attention from the cover page. With less colors, I like how there is still a variety in the calendar, but it does not look so off. Also, today I spent a bit more time deciding which markers to use, which colors, and it helped. They actually complement the cover, which I am so happy about. With the cover spread done, let's talk about the books I finished. And guys, I am going to attempt to fit all of these 8 books and their reviews on the 2 pages. Crazy, I know, but desperate people make desperate choices. I have only 21 pages left of this notebook and I am determined to fit whole 2025 in. And that's also why I won't be talking about the books in order I read them, as I usually try to do, but in order that fits my crazy idea. Let's start with the Just Stab Me Now by Jill Barab. This is one of the books I was very excited about, but at the same time I was not sure I would like it. If you are not familiar with this book or the author, you might have seen some YouTube shorts about an author trying to write an enemies to lovers story and the fantasy heroine is talking back to her and doing her own thing. Okay, I am not sure if this was a good description, but I will link her channel down below. Be wary though, many scenes from these YouTube shorts are actually in the book, so you might accidentally spoil yourself. I had a really good time, even more so in the second half of the book, once we get to know all the characters. This story is about author Caroline, who is determined that her new fantasy romance will be the best one yet. She plans on having formal gowns, fencing, and a 20-something heroine to start in an enemies to lovers plot with as many of Caroline's favorite tropes as possible. But her fantasy heroine, Lady Rosamund, turns out to be 36 years old widow. Okay. Okay, I can't stop laughing now. Lady Rosamund turns out to be 36-year-old widow with 2 children, and her sole focus is facilitating a peace treaty between her homeland and her adopted nation. And while Caroline, the author, is trying so hard to put all of these tropes in her story, Lady Rosamund is having none of that. Of course, the hot enemy is mentioned quite a few times as well. It is so charming and unique, and I chuckled quite a few times. This book is full of tropes, but I really enjoyed the spin on them. While the physical book and ebook were released last year, the audiobook was released only this year and it was narrated by the author herself. I got it from Audible because I did not know there were better options, but there are now, and the author actually gets to earn something that way. You can get an ebook or audiobook on her Patreon. I will link that down below because we love to support our indie authors. I am also thinking about getting the hardcover that should be released by now as well. And she is also working on a sci-fi book now, with the YouTube shorts being released for that one as well. I can't wait to read it. I used quite a variety of stationery on this page, from the girl and cat stickers by Bujo to sticky club notepads down in the corner to the washi tape shop stationery. Everything is, as always, linked in the description. I used a full page for this review. And now I need to fit 7 books onto the right page. Yes, I am well aware of that. That's where this black page comes in and this PET tape that I will use to hold the page in the journal. This PET tape I got from Journal Say. It has lots of skulls, ribbons and crows. And yes, it is quite a change of theme, but I will tell you why. The next book I will be talking about is The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik, and that book is perfect match for this PET tape. The Golden Enclaves is the 3rd book in this Colomance series and I loved it. It was one of the rare 5 stars I gave out this year. I finished A Deadly Education, 1st book in this series, in March. I can't believe it took me so long to read the whole series. But at the same time, I am quite happy I finished it in less than a year. It is a dark academia story taking place mostly in the magic school where students need to fight for their lives, literally. There are no teachers, no holidays and no friendships, save strategic ones. And while it is young adult oriented, I did not mind it as much as I do with other young adult stories. Maybe because while the setting is magic school, the stakes are high and you do not have time for the typical Mary Sue nonsense. Well, when I think about it, the main character is quite powerful, but with great power comes great responsibility, and I like how the author explored that. I was so invested in the characters every time I opened this book and I could not wait to see what happens next. The revelations were incredible and I even shed a tear. I was not sure what to expect from the ending, but it was okay. I would prefer maybe something else, but I am content with how it is. I used a bunch of vintage themed stickers here because these represent how the story felt to me. Everything was old and grungy, barely holding together. Writing in gold pen helped with this feeling as well. I really like how this page turned out because it represents the story so well, at least for me. Onto the other side of this flap, I am going to put the review of When a Monk Cries by Veronica Roth. I chose to read this book out of desperation because I needed a book with sun on the cover for one of the magical readathon prompts, and all I was seeing were romance books, which I am not a big fan of, and then this one popped up. Fantasy, finally, and a short one, even better. Also, the cover is very pretty. I decided to give this a try without even reading the synopsis. I just looked at the genres on Goodreads and that was it. And I was pleasantly surprised. This is a story featuring lots of monsters from Slavic folklore and the author names them in Polish. And while I don't speak Polish, Slovak is very close, so I could understand those easily. It was kind of a fun game for me. Also, there were quite a few Polish phrases used, but they were all translated, if not right away, then a few lines later, so it was not frustrating to read, especially for people who do not understand Polish, because guys, I definitely read few books where the author did not even bother with translation, and that was frustrating. I enjoyed this story even when I could predict most of it, but I still felt this joy of spending time with the characters. I enjoyed this book so much I stayed up until almost 2 a.m. to finish this. Yeah, I rarely do that. I definitely thought it would take less time to finish, but here comes the one reason I did not give this book 5 stars. Writing. It was hard to read and clumsy, and I had to reread some sentences a few times to figure out what was even going on. There could have been more of everything, I guess, but as I said, this book is short, less than 200 pages, so of course I can't expect big and thought-through storylines, especially in fantasy. This page, guys, I had no idea what stationery to use. First I put this black and white cloud tape in, then I did not really like it, so I added blue clouds on top of that, just to tie it a bit with the cover page, even when it's not the same blue color. Recently I got these Men It Suit stickers, so I thought, why not? It matches enough. And then I accidentally found these wings stickers and I just had to use at least one. Last edition were these yellow butterflies, and that's what make this page look good. Maybe a bit different from my usual pages, but it grows on me. Next I read a full series, and it was the most exciting and the most heart-wrenching 11 days of my September. I have read the Hunger Games series, the original 3 books, and it was a journey. Honestly, I was not even sure I've ever read these books. Gasp, I know. But my Goodreads said I did, so I guess I did, but it must have been at least 10 years ago. I remember movies more because those are my Christmas movies. Hunger Games or Divergent series. Yes, I don't care about your Christmas romances, I want dystopia. I wanted to read this series since I read the Sunrise on the Reaping. I was not a fan of that one, but the one thing it accomplished was that I really wanted to read the original series. And I finally did, and it was so good to experience this story again, to see why I loved this series so much. The most difficult part about reading something again for me is that first, I know what will happen, so I rarely get surprised. And second, I know what will happen, and I know it will hurt, and I know I will cry, so then I cry even before this scene starts. Yes, I am a crybaby. I dangerously listened to most of these on my way to and from work, and I had to catch a tear or two going down my cheek occasionally. But when there was a scene with Rue in the first book, I had to stop the audiobook and come back to it only when I was home because I knew that would be heart-wrenching. And it was. And I had such a big cry. Don't you love it when the book makes you feel something so strongly? It does not need to be sadness, of course, but it's kind of given with the Hunger Games. The first book will probably always be my favorite, but the rest of the series is quite close behind. I now want to rewatch all the movies. I have also seen the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, and I liked it, but I have not read the book yet, and I'm not sure if I should. Let me know what you think. If you read the book and watched the movie, which one is your favorite? I decided to put a whole series on another insert, and this time I made it so you can see only the book covers, but when you open the flap there is a review. I did add very little decoration here because there was simply not enough space, but the black and white PET tape with windows I used as a divider between the Hunger Games series and the rest of the books is doing the heavy lifting. So much so that I did not put any other decoration for the remaining 2 books. Also, there was not really a space. I read The Haunted, One Family's Nightmare only because it had 29 letters in the full title, which is a prime number, and that was one of the prompts for the magical readathon. Also, it was less than 7 hours long, and a friend lent it to me. This is another Ed and Lorraine Warren paranormal ghost story, and it was... I don't know, I did not like it. Something was bothering me and I can't tell what. Well, actually, probably I can. This is supposed to be a non-fiction, an actual accounting of the hauntings, but it read more like a bad ghost story with some random interviews in between. Also, this family seems so perfect, with only great relationships with everyone, and doing charity work and having time for this and that while being picture perfect. And did I mention they were perfect Christians and how only being perfect Christian can help them in this situation? This made the story even less believable to me. No one is that perfect. And no, I do not have anything against the family being religious. I myself was raised Christian as well, but the way this story was written was just so unbelievable, and I had to check multiple times while reading this if it actually is a non-fiction. And the tag always said non-fiction, despite me looking at it over and over, and no, it did not change. And I was constantly confused, why is it marked as such? Funnily enough, new Conjuring movie came to the cinemas, and guess what? It was about this same family. And to be honest, guys, this book ruined my enjoyment of the movie. Yes. And I will talk about it more when I do another movie journaling session. Last book for today is Red Country by Joe Abercrombie. After last month's disappointment with the Heroes, a previous book in this series, I am happy to say I enjoyed this one. At this point, I am probably over Abercrombie because this was my 6th book from the author in the last 4 months, and it is honestly starting to feel all the same. I had to Google what this book was about before doing the review, which is certainly not a good sign. But after I figured it out, I can say that I did enjoy this book. There were some things I had a feeling would happen, and they did, which was exciting, but there were of course many surprises, as they always are. That said, I am not going to read any more books from this series or this world because I have had enough for now. Maybe, hopefully, I will continue next year. If I pick up any of Joe Abercrombie's books in the near future, it will be The Devils, because that is a different series and I already own the audiobook. Okay guys, and with all of the reviews done, let's flip to the beginning of this journal and let's fill out all of my yearly trackers. As always, we are starting with the reading goal, and for this month I chose this Ohuhu marker. It looks very orange, but the color is actually slightly more red, which looks very similar to the sweater of this girl, so that's why I chose this color. I finished 8 books and I need to color in 8 squares. Yeah, see, this is much more red than it looks from the cap of this marker. And as you can see, I have fulfilled my yearly goal of reading 52 books. That's what this green frame is for. Will I be able to read 95 books? Probably not, but 56 as I am now, it is a lot. Even people who read 2, 3, 5 books a year, it is a lot still, because yeah, you need to find a time to read and it is not always that easy to do so. Okay, so that is filled in. Also, let's fill in this square for September. Okay, now we have list of books read in 2025. I already filled that in. And here is covers read in 2025. So, as the title suggests, we are going to put in covers of all the books I have just finished. And I am putting them in order I actually finished all of these books. When I set up this page at the beginning of the year, I was not sure if I will like it, but guys, I adore how this looks. It is just so perfect. Maybe I could have printed all of these cover pages bigger. That might look even cuter because I prepared way too many pages for this spread. So yeah, I don't know if for the next year I will set up less pages for this or if I will do bigger book covers. I am not sure yet. But this spread will definitely be in my 2026 journal because, yeah, as I said, it is one of my favorites. It looks like we will just fill in full page. Oh, that's awesome. And one more book. Okay, that really looks so good. Yeah, that's so perfect. Now we have read my shelf challenge, and while I did not do that much of a progress, I read the Golden Enclaves. That's at least one of the books checked off. And here we have series tracker. In here I did some damage, so let's see. I read 3 books in the Hunger Games series and I don't know what I was doing here. Oh, I think these 2 are supposed to be the prequels and these 3 are the original series. So, okay, let's do a dot for each of those in there. Also, I read another book in the First Law world. And I am sure there was something more. The Scholomance, yeah, I finished that one. Yeah, that's about it. I really like the progress I made this month, but I also started another series and we need to put it somewhere. I feel like I'm just going to add a little flap. I did not really think this through, so I don't know how it will look, but it will have to be okay. So as you can see, this is what I have for the rest of the year. Yeah, it is not many pages, so that's why I tried to fit everything on these two spreads, and thankfully it worked out. This is kind of like a sacrifice page, so every time I need to add a bit of paper somewhere, I just go from the back of the journal. And these are just sticky notes I used when I was setting this journal up. And I feel like I will use many of those again for next journal, so I am keeping those in there. I don't know, this much? I am not sure how many series I will start this year. So let's do this much. I want to have it like this, and I'm thinking about using the same washi tape as I did in here. It will be visible only when the page is flipped like this, so it's not that big of a deal what I will use here, but I still want it to match, and since I have this washi tape or PET tape, why not use it? Okay, that worked, I hope. It wants to be like this, but I think it will get better with time. Okay, so I need to find this brown dot pen and this pen. This will be a challenge, but let's try. Okay, I have a pen. I hope it is the same. I don't think so, but it is very similar, so I will go with that. And let's just do all the lines. Okay, I'm doing such a bad job here, but it is quite challenging. I am not going to lie. I have space for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more series, but I can also fit 5 more in there if I need to, but hopefully I won't start 11 more series or 10 more series this year. The series I started in September is Course Bearer by Veronica Roth, and that has currently 2 books, so I will do 2 dots, and let's do a dot in here. It looks better than I expected, because honestly, yeah, I did not really think this through. That's fine. So let's do a green dot for the finished book. Also, I need to check off the Scholomance series as finished. Considering I have not read that many series this year, I feel like it is going quite okay when I look at this spread. All of these green dots are books I finished this year. It looks kind of okay. Now let us continue with 25 in 2025, and I am so happy I can put a star next to Just Stab Me Now. One more book finished out of this list. It seems I have not done that good of a job of reading all of these, but I still want to read all of them, and there are a few I am currently reading, so hopefully in the next few months they will be finished. For the rainbow, we can finally add a red book in here, and that's Catching Fire. So let's put that one there. That was, I think, 4.5 stars. And I've been thinking a lot about this, and while I wanted to keep this small book cover in there, I don't think I will do that. It just looks more and more ridiculous the more the page is filled in. I have a bigger cover, so I will just simply put that on top, Oh, now everything will be sticky. Okay. If I remember correctly, this was dark green and we are missing only a green book cover, and I can't really find anything with a lighter green cover than this that I would like to read. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Now let's do days I finished a book. Well, let's see, I finished a book on Monday, and then on Wednesday, then another Wednesday, then it was another Monday. Okay, I see some pattern in there. Okay, then it was Sunday, Thursday. Okay, there is no pattern to this. Saturday and another Monday. I really like how this is looking. Okay, no DNFs, thankfully. And yearly stats, let's fill them in quickly. As you can see, based on ratings, I had the best month yet this year, which is awesome. And I also read quite a lot. It averaged to be 88 pages per day, which is very nice. Okay, next we have pages per book, and this is another page that needs some alteration. Hopefully this will be enough. That is the offcut of the piece of paper I cut out for the previous spread. And I'm just going to glue this in. I want to do outlines so it would match what I have going on. I will simply glue this in there. It might seem maybe strange to do this for only 2 of the rows, but as you can tell, these are my favorite sections to fill in. This is, I think, enough because I don't see myself filling any of this in. I am not going to do lines for this part because I don't know if I will need that, probably, but I will do that when the time comes. This might be looking quite strange, but I am happy with that. Well, let's fill this in. I have read one book that was under 200 pages, one that was between 200 and 300 pages long. I like to fill in these smaller sections, but I'm sure majority of my books were 300 plus pages long. Yeah, there were 4 books between 300 and 400 pages long, and 2 books under 500 pages. It's good I added 2 rows, so next month I can just continue in there. Okay, so this was, I'd say, successful addition to this journal. I will have to think this through better for next year, or maybe I should try and read less books that are between 300 and 500 pages, but I think that's even majority of the books that there are, so I don't know what I can do about that. Now for the Hall of Fame, I will write down the Hunger Games, of course, and the Golden Enclave. So that's 2 books that I gave 5 stars this month. A to Z challenge, I believe we have something to add in there. I read Catching Fire, yeah, that's perfect, and Mockingjay. For the authors, I think there was, yeah, Veronica Roth, and Susan Collins is already in there, as well as Naomi Novik and Joe Abercrombie, so I don't need to write those down. Okay, this is quite a good progress. For Year in Pixels, I have already filled this in. It looks so full, but so good. And for the places, I have written down District 12 and 13 and Panem and Chicago. Oh, I have a Panem in there already. I don't care. It does not really matter. Nothing in there. And the last thing to look at is the buzzword challenge. It's getting harder and harder to fill this in. this month, thankfully, we have the Golden Enclaves. I don't think you can see that, but there are small eyes on the cover, so I am putting that there. And we have only 4 prompts to fill in. I am not sure I will be able to do that, but I will certainly try. Okay, and that's it. Let's flip back to the September cover page. I am so happy with how this turned out. My recent cover pages were very, very filled in and I loved them. But I also love this less filled in page for me. Many people, I am sure, would consider this to be kind of messy and full, but for me it is not that full. I like to cover my pages completely. So yeah, I like that I did that and I adore this sticker. It's just so cute. And now for the reviews. As you can see, I tried different pens this time and I really like how it looks. Also, I can't believe I was able to fit 8 books on 2 pages. I did put 1 more page in, but no one said I couldn't. And I think we will see more of this in following months because yeah, there are not that many pages left in this journal. As I showed you before, this is it. I have 19 pages left in this journal and 3 more months to fit in there. So I will do my best, and seeing how I managed to do September, I now believe I can actually do it because yeah, that was not always true. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this reading wrap up. If you want to see more of those, here is the full playlist with every single reading wrap up I have ever made. And down here is one of my latest videos. Have absolutely lovely day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.